The focal point of Trump's presidency has been Make America Great Again and America First. And a cornerstone of this is returning manufacturing here to the United States. So with all this in mind, you would think the last thing he would want to do is sabotage the US auto industry. But in reality, that might be exactly what he's doing. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how he might, despite his best efforts, be setting Ford and GM up for failure. So let's talk about that right now. At the core of this issue is the topic of electric vehicles. Now, this has become a very polarized topic, and it has even made its way into national policy. The previous administration was very in favor of electrification and made policies to support this, up to and including renewing the electric vehicle tax rebate for both making and purchasing electric vehicles, and supposedly even having a mandate that would force everyone to drive EVs after 2030, even though the second one wasn't really the case. If you want some more information on that topic, you can check out this video here. For the purpose of this video, I'll just give you a really quick summary of that. The EPA opened up new, more strict standards for vehicle emissions. And now, under this, manufacturers were allowed to make whatever vehicle they wanted as long as it met these emission standards. The catch to it is, though, internal combustion engines as they are today would have a hard time meeting these standards when they would get implemented in 2030. The current administration, on the other hand, has taken the exact opposite approach. They've already canceled these stricter emission standards, and they've even proposed an EV highway tax. Also, more famously, they've already canceled the EV tax credit incentive. This is supposedly in order to save millions in taxpayer dollars, though at the same time, they did not choose to save the $31 billion per year that we are paying to oil companies in subsidies. Kind of interesting how that works, huh? For more information about oil subsidies and how we are giving oil companies billions of our tax dollars, I suggest you check out the article by The Guardian. I'll either have it down below, or if I can, I'll attach it right here. If you're not a fan of that outlet, I would suggest you just Google US oil subsidies and then just pick any one of the dozens of articles on this topic. Now, before I get into how President Trump is going to hurt the US auto industry, I first need to give him his due credit. You see, he has implemented a tax credit that will be a discount for the interest that you pay on a new vehicle loan if the vehicle is made here in the United States. And to his credit, that is going to help incentivize purchasing vehicles made here in this country. But there is actually a flaw in that we will come back to later. First, let's talk about how he's going to set up Ford and GM for failure. This story actually starts long before Trump took office. You see, we live in a capitalist country, which means that companies are free to make whatever products however they want, as long as it doesn't break any laws, which I personally am a fan of this. But like all systems, it has its flaws. And the first one I can talk about, and the one that affects this video, is the gap between the way the system should work and the way it does work. You see, the way capitalism should work is that companies make products and market them and sell them in a way that will make them money. And they will also make decisions that will be good for the overall future health of their company. Sadly, the reality is very different. Companies run themselves into the ground for poor decisions all the time. And sometimes these situations are so bad that the government has to step in and bail them out. Perfect examples of this would be the bank bailouts following the real estate bubble crash in 2006 and the government's bailout of GM in 2009. A major driver of this is actually that companies' primary duty isn't actually to their customers. It is to their investors, to make their investors money. And investors get nervous when companies lose money. Where this ties into EVs is US companies, or at least our legacy companies, have had a hard time being profitable with electric vehicles. And because of this, they make their investors nervous. Even if this short-term loss is for long-term good of the company, the investors are much more interested in losing money today. And because of this, legacy manufacturers are kind of leaning into prioritizing these short-term gains, even if it's going to hurt them in the long run. Now, what does all of this have to do with the topic of today's video? Well, in this video right here, I talk about the reality that every year, more and more people are purchasing EVs, and the number of internal combustion engine vehicles are actually being diminished. Now, You can hop down in the comments section below and say EVs are better, ICE cars are better. But at the end of the day, those comments really don't change anything. That argument doesn't change the fact that EVs are an ever increasing part of the market. And somewhere between 2030 and 2035, they will actually sell more EVs per year than internal combustion engines. And while that will be slower here in the US, it is still happening. And when more and more people are buying EVs, who are they buying them from? Well, a very, very small percentage is from US legacy manufacturers. The reality is, China has been the big winner in the EV race. Now, companies from other parts of Asia and companies from Europe have been fighting a losing battle to them for years. And that battle is going to be really important later on in this video. If you are enjoying this video, please hit that like button down below. While you're down there, hitting the subscribe button would greatly support the channel. And, of course, don't forget to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. And stand by to the end of the video to hear my new subscriber shoutouts. Here in the United States, we've been somewhat protected from this, in part because we have high tariffs on Chinese manufacturers, but then also because we have some protections in place that prevent Chinese EVs from being sold here in this country. But this has not been foolproof. You already have Volvo and Polestar, which used to be European companies, but are now Chinese companies that are available here in the United States. And the protections we have against traditional Chinese EV companies is not going to last forever. As I mentioned in my mandate video, the Chinese will continue to get more and more market share worldwide. Eventually, they will have enough market share and be profitable in enough countries to where they can absorb massive losses selling their vehicles here in the United States. Now, why would they do this? Because this will give them a foothold in our country. And once they have a foothold, they can start expanding their market share. And as they make their market share bigger, the US legacy manufacturer companies' market share will decline, and their vehicles will, price-wise, become less competitive because they're going to become more expensive to make. If you want all the details on that, check that video out. And even if raising tariffs on China were to work, we're still not safe. Remember those Asian and European companies that have been taking a beating from China? Well, they've started fighting back. I've already done multiple videos on BMW's Neue Klasse and what a leap forward this vehicle represents. And the reality of it is, while they are in the lead, they are far from the only European manufacturer that's doing well. Mercedes and Audi both have next generation platforms coming out that are pretty competitive, and they're coming out from all of these companies in the next 12 months. And the Japanese and Korean manufacturers are both making improved versions of their EVs. Now, these improvements are much more incremental. They're not near as much of a leap forward, but they are still improvements. And take into account, all these manufacturers that I'm referring to are not companies trying to break into the US market. These are companies that are here now and have been here for decades. Almost everyone watching this video in the United States either owns a vehicle by one of these manufacturers or is within a 30-minute drive of a dealership of one of these manufacturers. So China, the rest of Asia, and Europe are all rapidly improving their electric vehicles, and more people every day are buying electric vehicles. So the US kind of seems like it's in trouble. Now, our only real defense that I can see is to make our EVs better, to be more competitive on the world stage. So how is that going? Well, let's look at the US's two biggest legacy manufacturers, Ford and GM. Ford has the Mach-E and the F-150 Lightning. Well, at least they did. They've actually canceled the battery electric version of this vehicle in favor of making an EREV, or extended range electric vehicle, which is a serial hybrid. For more information on what that is, you can check out this video right here. Now, whether or not that change is a good thing or a bad thing is debatable. But what is not debatable is the fact that it is definitely a step backward from electrification. Luckily, GM is doing quite a bit better. You have the Equinox, Blazer, and Silverado pickup under their Chevy label. You have the Lyriq, Vistic, Optic, and Escalade IQ under their Cadillac label. And they also have the Hummer EV. Now, all these are very capable vehicles, but they are based on their Ultium platform, which came out a couple years ago. And while it was an improvement over their previous EV platform, it was not as big a jump as it was hyped that it was going to be. The ranges on these vehicles are good, but this is simply a matter of brute force. You see, they put very large and heavy and expensive battery packs in these vehicles. We'll use the Escalade IQ as a perfect example. It has a very impressive 500 miles of range, which is great, but this is because of a 200 kilowatt battery. Take into account that you also have, for example, the upcoming BMW iX3 and the Lucid Gravity, which will both have 400 miles of range off a battery half the size of the Escalade's battery. And this also doesn't include the fact that the Ultium platform is starting to age compared to the competitors, especially in other areas such as charging speed. So as you can see, Ford and GM are starting to fall behind, and they're poised to fall much farther behind. And as I mentioned, they're unlikely to try to do much to catch up because this would hurt their short-term profits and make their investors nervous. Now, one thing that would help them is if the government were to incentivize them to invest more in developing their electric vehicles. But as we mentioned, they're just not going to do that. Now, at this point, I think it's really important to note that I myself am a kind of free market guy. I'm in favor of letting the market do what it's going to do. But the problem is you either have to 100% do this or 100% don't do this. And here's what I mean by that. You can say, let the market do what it wants, but then you also have to let the market suffer the consequences. And we don't have a history of doing that. As I mentioned before, back in 2009, GM needed a government bailout in order to keep from going bankrupt. Now, here's the trick to it. That's the other side of this free market. If you're going to do free market, you don't bail them out. If you're going to bail out companies for making poor decisions as far as their future, then the government should actually, if they're going to give up my tax dollars, should actually have a say in where they go with their manufacturing. And this seems like a really good chance to come back to that interest tax credit I mentioned earlier. Because see, this tax credit is not for US companies making vehicles, it's for vehicles made here in the United States. An increasing number of foreign companies are coming in and building factories here in the United States to sell their vehicles to get the benefits. Now, the upside of this, of course, is that it brings more jobs to the country, and I'm definitely in favor of that. But the other side of this is these now make internal competition for our legacy companies. And the tax credit will help them just as much as it will help Ford and GM. A perfect example of how this is going to play out is that BMW's Spartanburg, South Carolina plant actually made more money exporting vehicles from the United States than Ford did last year. Think about the implications of that. For me, the implications I see is that this is really great for the American worker having a job at a plant at any one of these other companies. But for our legacy manufacturers, their decline, not just worldwide, but within our country, is actually already started. But hey, that's my take. Let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think the Ford and GM are going to weather this? Do you think that the ever increasing amount of EV sales in the world is going to hurt them? Or do you think they're going to be just fine? Let me know down in the comment section below. And check out this video.